What's up, dudes? Welcome back to another episode of Rhomas Men's Team. Pretty simple. We are a group of guys helping each other make progress towards each other's goals. If you're new to the channel, awesome and welcome. If you want to help support the channel and join our pro team, head over to rhomasteam.com/pro, where you can contribute to us on a donation basis. We also give you access to exclusive content, mastermind groups, etc., etc. So anyway, hope you enjoy this episode, and we'll see you on the team.
What's up? We're here.
What's up, dude?
What's going on, man? I'm standing today, dude. I've been sitting too much. I've been sitting. Yeah, I've been sitting. I've been editing, doing a ton of editing for the meditation series.
Hell yeah.
Dude, I broke them up. I had one long thing that I was like gonna release as one video, and I'm like, that's too long, and I want to break it down into little steps. The first step, I'm like, this one will take 2 seconds. It's gotten so in depth, which in a good way. So I'm just like watching it, seeing things that are unclear, going back, re-recording stuff, rewriting stuff, going back in, adding more video, and like different little things. And oh my God, man, I'm so excited to finally do this, because I'm battling with a part of myself that's like, fuck it, just put it out. Where I'd be like, it's fine, and it's like, and I could do that, but it's like I'm really working on getting this as clear and concise as possible. So it's been nice.
Have you ever tested, so I think we've talked about this in the past, the model that I use is deadline and 80% rule. So it's like, give myself a deadline. If the deadline comes and I'm at 80%, then ship it out. And you could always re-edit after that. I'm just curious if you're in a similar space.
I use that for writing. For writing, I do that. I'll try to just be like, let me see how, like I'll say like I want to have it done by now, but with a thing like this, if I know there's a glaring thing that can be fixed and made better, I have no problem pushing it back. I'm an artist, bro. I'm an artiste, bro.
No, I get it.
But no, I like that, because that helps me with writing, where it's like, especially for the first draft, it's like just slog through, because that kind of like, I want to get it perfect on the first draft. It's the worst thing in the world.
Oh yeah.
I like doing that for first drafting. It's like, I was telling you yesterday, I did this whole thing. It's like the physical side of meditation in terms of like, the biology of it and all this stuff. And it was the first script I had written didn't really talk about that stuff. I didn't have as in-depth of an understanding as I needed to have. So then I did more research, and it was like, I have to totally change this, because it's just, I would have done people a disservice.
Right.
So, and then then there was like, well, let me also practice this myself, so I know exactly what I'm talking about. And I did all that. And I was like, okay, let me revise a couple other things. So that's kind of, and I was thinking about you too, because it's like, I do like that idea of like, set it to here, boom, just put it out. But it was like, if I had done that with this, it would have been, in my opinion, it would have been like, I would have put out something that was just like kind of confusing or not as good.
Trust me, I'm not hating at all. Like, look what I'm doing with Rhomas U. Like, I'm having the same thing. I'm like trying to write this like long like intro to it, and it's like so I'm sorry, it's holding us back. I was thinking about it in the shower a couple days ago. I was like, I'm such a fucking dickhead for holding that back with this.
Dude,
but no, we all get caught in it.
Yeah, no, it's good. And there's little things like because part of Rhomas U, I wrote that like 90 page, whatever it is, book audio thing, and it's like I'm gonna also try to get that to self-publish that, and that's something I'm just bullshitting on. All I have to do is call someone, and like that's ready to go. So yeah, there is like, I think there's deadlines are, I think, essential to have deadlines for stuff and be constantly bringing things up. But yeah, that's definitely a battle when you're creating things. It's like, how right is right. Like, you have to just trust your instincts of like, no, it's not ready yet. And, if there was like more of a dire demand, that's another thing. But for this, I can actually take my time, and it's like, I really my goal is to like actually have people understand how to meditate versus like where I was before, which was like, you're just kind of mystified by it, and you like kind of try it, and you're like, I don't know, I guess that worked. And like, just being able to take that whole mindset away and be like, here's exactly how you do it. This is exactly what it's supposed to be. Right. So pretty tight.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I was curious if you wouldn't mind sharing with the dudes what you and I were talking about yesterday when you shared with me this hidden secret that not many people are doing.
Dude, blew me away. And it's, maybe one of those things people are like, oh, I do that all the time. And it's like, I had no idea. So I was telling Wes yesterday, because again, I'm doing the psych null stuff. I'm so pumped on it. And I come across really I wanted to understand like because I've heard that if you breathe a certain way through meditation, like it can like actually slow your heart rate down. And I was like, I wonder how that actually works in the body. Like, what are the, you know, what are the mechanisms behind that? And like, how does that actually, like, what are the things that, like the dominoes that fall that make that actually happen? And I stumbled across a thing called diaphragmatic breathing, which is just breathing with your diaphragm. They call it belly breathing. And I think, Wes, you were saying Hicks and Gracie's like all about this as well. And it's really simple. You put your hand, it's right here. You put your hand on your belly, and your one hand on your chest. Let me put it right here, actually. And when you breathe, you want your hand that your belly's on to move up. And if you're going like that, you're breathing with the upper portion of your lungs. And so what they're saying is, a lot of us, because we get stressed out, or like we're constantly in a state of alert, we start breathing with our chest, and our chest is here to assist the diaphragm. Like the chest is here to kind of process oxygen and do like gas exchange between oxygen and carbon dioxide. So like it's really important. But like the mechanism of pulling in air, that's the diaphragm. When you pull in through the stomach, the chest also rises after the stomach rises, but it's there to just kind of like pull it. It's just there to help. Like if I was running, my chest would be moving because like I need more air than my diaphragm can take in. So I'm reading about this, like reading like medical papers about like, you know, how many breaths a minute are optimal, which apparently is around like 6 or so if you're trying to relax. And so the way they explain it is like your diaphragm is like this pump that's just kind of like, you can think of it as like a balloon that gets filled up below your rib cage. So you breathe in, you just kind of just practice like letting your belly expand. You can even breathe all the way down. They say like breathe into like your perineum or your taint, whatever it's called, like all the way down to there. It feels pretty good. But you breathe all the way down to there. And it just like, so when you fill up your diaphragm with air, what it does is it kind of, when you release, you have like this thing that fills up that pushes air out of your lungs. So when you're just breathing with your lungs, a lot of the air gets kind of like, you get like just like air trapped in your lungs because it's not being pumped out, if that makes sense. You're just going like, and you're not getting like the fullness of air in it. It's like, so basically when you breathe with your diaphragm, it allows your lungs to expand like deeper or like more than they would on their own. And then so your body is able to get rid of more carbon dioxide, which allows it to take in more oxygen, which then makes your heart relax because your heart doesn't have to like strain to get oxygen throughout your body. And then once your heart relaxes, it kind of like slows down your nervous system, and it actually helps you relax. So like they do this for people with panic attacks, where if you sit down and do like a minute of just slow diaphragm breathing, where it's you just breathe, you let your mind, you're freaking out, you don't feel well, but you just breathe, you let your belly rise and out. You do like like 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out, and it slows your heart rate down. Like you can do this and slow your heart rate down by just breathing a certain way. So
yeah, it's fucking wild.
Dude, man, it's awesome. Yeah, I saw Lucas said Wim Hof breathing is this. Wim Hof does this. He does a lot of more like a breath retention, and he also breathes in through his mouth, which I'm always kind of weird. I don't know why he doesn't breathe in through his nose.
Yeah, that is strange.
Every time I see Wim Hof, he's like, and it's like, he can also sit in like 20 degree or like 4-degree water, and it's like, I'm sure he knows what he's doing, but it's like, I always am like, because apparently the other thing too is breathing in through your nose like purifies the air and like, creates nitric oxide, all this other stuff.
Yeah, that book Breathe talks about breathing through your nose.
Yeah, so that's but he is right. He does. I was watching, like when I was researching, I was watching Wim Hof stuff, and it's all, they all say the same thing. You let the belly fill up first, and then the lungs expand, and then you breathe out, and it's just that simple little thing to work on. It can help you fall asleep at night and help you kind of just like relearn how to breathe. And it's funny because they say babies are born knowing exactly how to breathe, and I happen to have a baby, so I've been this morning she woke up. Dude, I was watching her do it, and it's just so funny, man. The little belly pops out. I'm watching her breathe, and she does that, and I was using her as like my coach. I'm like, all right, so that's how it's supposed to look. Yeah. And it's like, dude, it's it's just nuts that like you get so immersed in stress that like you start breathing the wrong way. It's fucked up.
Yeah, and I'd imagine, I'm just guessing, but I'd also imagine it's stress and also posturing your physique. Yes. like somewhere along the line, it became in vogue to have as small of a waistline or appear as skinny as possible.
Yes.
So I imagine there's some sort of origin there as well.
No, absolutely, man. And it's it's also funny too, because like whenever you read like some of the meditation stuff, they're real sticklers for like upright head, this and that, and they do like this thing with their hands where they're like placed out like that. It just puts you in perfect posture. That's all it is. because you do want yourself. That's what they tell you to lay down when you practice it, because like that puts you in a neutral spine. Just anyone can do that. But if you're sitting up, when you're hunched over and stuff, that like you were saying, it fucks with that process of like breathing properly. Because like that's why people say like sit up straight, put your shoulders back, all that stuff, because you'll start to throw your breathing off.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, man. Like all these fundamental things, but I would say I love paradigm shifts, like something where you shift the foundation of it so it moves the entire pyramid above it. Yeah. I think that's some of the most like transformational knowledge that you can obtain. Like, do you ever think you're breathing incorrectly, which is the foundation for 95% of what we as humans do, which is pretty wild.
Yeah, man, that kind of threw me off. And again, like the Wim Hof stuff I like the Wim Hof stuff a lot. They get more into like the stuff of I guess it's called like breath retention, and that's a similar thing. It's almost like fasting but for breathing. Like you breathe, you get enough oxygen in your body, and you just hold your breath, and apparently that kind of like increases the efficiency of like kind of oxygen exchange and all this stuff. But yeah, so I like the Wim Hof a lot. Again, the fact that he breathes through his mouth, I'm always like, it's just weird.
Yeah.
But obviously he's pretty cool. I like the Wim Hof guy. I'm not trying to trash him. I just noticed that and was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I'll have to add in. Definitely, we'll have to add in breathing techniques to my meditation. Like, there's no doubt about it. Our conversation yesterday 100% convinced me to do it.
And I've been doing it, and that's the other thing too with it. I can't stress enough for people to start some form of meditative practice every day. Like it's like Wes, you were actually the one who got me back into it, because you said you were doing it. I'm like, yeah, like why can't I just stick with that? And now it's like it's one of the cornerstones of like my daily routine. Dude, yeah, it's huge. But throwing in the diaphragmatic breathing piece is really cool, because when they're like focus on your breath, that's exactly what they're talking. Like that's for me. I'm like, oh, it's not some weird thing I'm hearing that I'm just like, why am I focusing on? I can go. Let me focus on breathing properly. Do that for 20 minutes, dude. Unbelievable.
Hell yeah. Yeah, and I don't know if you saw in the questions, but thank you for sharing that, because that's going to make me change a lot of my, some of my habits, especially during meditation. And I tried even yesterday after we talked to do it just while I was working, being cognizant of the way that I'm breathing. And then also Troy asked in the questions, as a potential topic, how do you explain to a child creating value? I think that's what he said. How do you explain to a child creating value? And then is there universal overlap with between values? I'm not sure I comprehend the last part. Like, and is there universal overlap between values? So Troy, if you wouldn't mind clarifying that a tiny bit. But how do you teach someone, your kids, students, etc., what value is?
Yeah, dude. I mean, I think. I mean, it's fine. I love to have whatchamacallit on as well. Francisco. He was talking about. I think this is stemming from there was a conversation. He was trying to show his kids how to clean. It was like, what's the proper age to start asking your kids to clean their own room? Oh. And yeah, it's pretty sick. And you don't really think about this shit until you have kids, and you're like, Francisco, I'm gonna invite you on if you can't, no problem. True Copper said 2.
Yeah. I was talking to... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
So I was talking to someone recently, and he and his wife did a great job. What's up, brother?
Yo, what's up, guys?
They had sort of like a gradient texture to how they were teaching their kids to bear responsibility. So they put... what happened? So, like, instead of telling their little, 1.5-year-old to clean his room, they would say, oh, put back your toy. Like they made sure every single day it's like, take this one thing, put it back in this one place. And then they kind of grew from there. And then different things like, just like that. I found it to be very interesting, but I wonder if it's more of a gradient rather than saying, hey, you clean your entire room. Because, when a human's this big and the room to them seems like an entire like fucking, acre of stuff that they have to fix and they have no idea. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
No, that makes sense. So I'm getting I think I'm getting an echo, but
I am too for some reason. Francisco fucked it all up.
Well, this is what and again, I have limited experience because my eye's only like 7, I think, a year and a half, 17 months. But the thing that helps is like she for some reason like likes like wiping up the floor. She likes putting shoes away. It's really bizarre. But like anytime I see her, because if I go to her and I go, go do this right now. It's just no. And I'm like, fuck. But if I see her doing something, or if I'm like, here, come on, help me, and I'm doing it, and she'll naturally kind of follow me and do along with me. And then as she's doing it, I just start putting the praise on. Oh man, this is the best. High fives, clapping. But if I'm like, go do this, it's now. I'm like,
really?
Fuck. Yeah, it's pretty funny. But I just think it's one of those things where, to answer Troy's question, this is the ultimate struggle for everybody. It's like you can only really teach values through example,
Yeah, and Francisco, how old are your kids?
7, 6, and 4.
So I have somewhat of experience with this. My girlfriend has a 7-year-old.
Yeah.
And she would not mind me saying this. He was not exactly disciplined. Like that is, and that is a massive euphemism. So I can tell you this, it 100% works on, well, at least it worked for this kid. So I sat him down one day. Number one, kind of had a little come to Jesus 2 sessions we had where he was doing unacceptable things, and I very much raised my voice, and it's never been a problem ever since. So that was kind of I'd imagine in the animal kingdom, right? There's certain things that you have to do that are more primal, where it gets through to their DNA, that they're not in the top of the hierarchy, and I do think a lot of kids struggle with that, because as parents, to raise a child, you have to over-index on attention. You have to over-index on when they say food, you run and get food, right? And you have to imagine by a certain age, this has been my experience, but by a certain age, they have tens of thousands of examples of you being their bitch, right? Do you know what I mean? It's you wipe their butt, right? Get me food. And if you don't get me food, I'm going to cry. And then I'll watch your ass run all the way to the kitchen, right? It's pretty wild, right?
Yeah.
So now I had the luxury of skipping over that part when I started dating my girlfriend, because the kid didn't know me as that guy who was his slave for the last 5 years or whatever. So anyway, so we kind of had that come to Jesus 2 sessions where it was I raised my voice. He kind of he gives me one of those, but then it's amazing how much he absorbs the idea of I sat him down and have a conversation and say, hey, what's mom's job? And he had no idea, right? So then it's okay. Right, so I'm teaching him that he doesn't know, and then I said to him, okay, here's mom's job, and here's Wes's job, and here's all of the adults around you who care. Every single adult around you, their number one job is to make you into a man. And dude, you would think that a child wouldn't absorb that, but he really opened up. Now, I repeat that every single time he gets in trouble. So I ask him the question, what is mom's number one job? And he says to make me into a man. Now he originally was really into it, and then he got to make me into a man, and then now he's back into it, right? It's very similar to adults' habits, right? You get into a habit, you really like it, and then it kind of gets boring, and then you notice that oh, there's fundamentals to this thing. But we kept on repeating it, to the point where now everything is nested inside of that. So whenever we say, hey, what did you do wrong? And he says this, and I said, okay, what's mom's number one job? To make me into a man. Do you think that will make you into a man? Do you think crying and hitting people when you don't get what you want, do you think that is what a man does? Do you see Wes doing that? And he says no. And I said, okay, well, what do you think the punishment should be? And to his credit, last time he's like an owl. I was yeah, sit in the chair. So he sits in the chair for an hour. This is a kid that could not sit anywhere for 10 seconds. He actually just paid a price of 2.5 hours recently, and he did the entire thing. Oh yeah, could you imagine that? Meditating for 2.5 hours.
Jeez, as a kid.
Oh yeah, dude. And his behavior is light years different. We still have problems every once in a while, of course, because he's a child.
Sure.
Now you take that into I don't think parents should negotiate with their kids, and I'm testing it out on her child as well. But I do think you should lay out very clear expectations and how they should earn their immediate future. So it's okay, hey bud, here's the next few hours, here's what you can do, right? If you clean your room, then we can go out and play with friends. If you don't clean your room, then you're going to sit inside the entire day, right? What would you prefer? And it's you would every single time it works, 100% of the time. But if you do it in the reverse, I've found that it basically never works. Oh, let's go play with your friends, and then you'll clean your room. do you promise?
Oop.
Right, like little kids' ability to promise and follow through, like after you've already like given them that dopamine, right? Like there's no way. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not a dad. I do have a tiny bit of experience with it, but dude, it has helped dramatically. And funny enough, it's also helped me kind of relate to adults as well, because it's sort of like improv comedy. Like you have to kind of exaggerate or be very specific about what you want to make sure the communication is very clear. So I think dumbing down the communication for a child made me get more sophisticated in my communication, because like simple scales, fancy fails, like that whole saying. And dude, like it's helped me tremendously. So I don't know if any of that helps, but then I think also like baby steps. You tell your kid who's never cleaned his roof to clean his entire room. It's like, good luck with that. Like try 10% today, 10% tomorrow, 20% the next day.
Yeah, I mean, like I've done it like every now and then. It's like it works. It's like hit or miss, but like mostly it's miss.
Yeah.
And like I've done everything. Like I've done like the whole yelling thing. Like I feel like I shouldn't use it for that because I use it for other things. It's like if I'm gonna yell at my kids, it's gonna be for like something serious.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
yeah. I also think you're playing like a lot of parents. Kids know how to play checkers.
Yeah.
And tic-tac-toe, like let's say checkers. A lot of kids know how to play checkers at a very early age because it's just binary. Like, oh, if I do this, then I get immediate reaction here. I also think a lot of parents need to be playing chess, because chess, you need to think a few chess moves ahead. And yes, it can be kind of tiring because you don't always want to be thinking strategically. And it's like, okay, what's the next 3 hours look like? How do I position this? But dude, I would be very surprised if it's not a universal rule of like, if you hold a child's, like if you hold a carrot out in front of the child and you refuse to give them the carrot unless they do X, like there's not many kids who have the sustainability, right, to like win in that game. It's like, okay, like if you don't clean your room, like you're just not going out.
True.
But most parents say, okay, fine, like you're gonna throw a hissy fit, we'll go out. It's like, no, just don't go out. It doesn't take too many repetitions of that for the kid to realize that like you're the ruler of the castle.
Yeah. What do you think, Fran? What do you think, Francisco?
Hard, bro. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. What were you saying?
Yeah, it's just hard because, like, they've done it before, so, like, you expect it. It's like, all right, you know what to do. It's like, you're the reason the whole room's a mess to begin with. And, like, you get shit if you clean your room. But I threaten, like, yo, throw all your shit out in the garbage. And they're like, okay, do it. And, like, they just go back to whatever they're doing. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
Like, who do these broads think they are? And then they just, like, they don't care.
Yeah, man.
They don't care until you take something away from them.
Yo, I've done it. I've thrown out like construction bag full of shit.
Yeah, no, I could tell you what worked for me. My mom grounded the fuck out of me all the time. Like it took away my universe every single time. And my mom was not the type of person who said, okay, you're grounded, you just have to stay and you can watch TV. No, like I wasn't allowed to do anything. And it was awful. So I would find it, and I'm not challenging you, I'm saying just as another option, like I have a funny feeling that if you did take away their universe to where they just sat on a chair, right, like literally that's all, like they sit on a chair, and the rule is, right, if you get off of the chair, then you add another 5 minutes to the chair. And that's what we do with my girlfriend's son. And guess what? The first time, he added 30 minutes to his session. And then when we follow through with it, he doesn't really do that anymore. And he freaks out. So it's like, it's a battle of willpower. And I just think that adults have more willpower than children. The shitty part is, though, like you kind of have to be a bad guy, right? Like, and it doesn't feel good to feel like the bad guy.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it stinks. I mean, I think you're right, man. I think there's that part of it. There's also the thing that helps, again, because Maya's really young, is turning everything into a game. That helps.
Absolutely.
Like, let's go, and you start, while they're young, make it kind of fun. But like Francisco's dealing with, they're a little older, they can kind of sniff right through that and be like, fuck, this game sucks.
Yeah.
So it's like, like you were saying, Wes, it's like, it sucks, man. You put your kid in timeout, they're kicking, screaming, it sucks. But it's, you have to do it, dude. Like there's that Jordan Peterson quote, like I think you've said it before. It's like, you don't want the world who doesn't know your kids disciplining them, Mm-hmm. So it's like, I would, I think Francisco, I think that's a good challenge of like coming up with creatives. First of all, being mindful about the problem. And, when you catch yourself, I all the time, I catch myself getting like physically angry at a 1.5-year-old. I'm like trying to cook and I'm like, you're going to fucking get burnt. Don't you understand this? And I'm like, yeah. And it's like, first of all, trying to really work through the way they make you feel when they don't do it. And once you conquer that, you can start doing this from a more calm, almost zenned out perspective, like Wes is saying. And it's like, yes, let them spend an afternoon inside. They'll be all right. Let them on a chair. Let them spaz. Now you're back on. Let them spaz to the point where like they're like having convulsions. Just they'll go through A to B and see that none of it works, and then it's like, all right. Especially when they're babies. This is a misconception. When you have an infant, a lot of people say, "Oh, let them cry it out." That's actually bad. You don't want to do that because infants have no idea what the fuck's going on. And they genuinely feel like they've been just left. They're like, where the fuck is everybody? They have no clue what's going on. And like you were saying, Wes, too, it's very funny because there's a theorist, I think Melanie Klein, and I think another one, and their whole theory on children were exactly that they were completely omnipotent, and they just like, they're rulers of the universe. They're like, I'm hungry, they're fed. I need I'm wet, and the diaper gets changed. They come up being like, yeah, I'm running this shit. And the whole thing of like 2, 3, 4, 5 is like slowly breaking it to them that like, no, actually you're not. And it fucks them up and they get angry. But like that they have to be broken in that way. Nicely, it has to occur to them fully.
Yes.
Because otherwise they retain that master of the universeness. Nice. And you don't want that.
Wait, where does it go?
Yeah. But they're so fucking cute too, man. It's so hard. It's so hard. Especially daughters. What do you have? What, a son and 2 daughters?
Yeah. Yep.
Daughters are hard. I feel I don't have a son obviously right now, but daughters, it's so hard not to just spoil the shit out of them. It's so hard.
Yeah, man. It's like, you know what? I'll do it, and I just spend like the whole friggin' day.
No, dude.
Like slaving away in there.
Drop the hammer on them, dude. Now.
I drop the hammer and then I just let it go. Like,
what's the hammer? So walk us through a scenario. What's a hammer drop?
Hammer drop? Like there's so many. It's like, all right, fine. You don't want to clean your room? I'll grab a bag, garbage bag, and I'll start throwing shit out. And they're like,
yeah, but you just clean the room.
Mm-hmm. No, but like I'll just threaten that, and they're like, every now and then they're like, oh, okay, we'll clean it, but like mostly it's not. And that's like, oh, I'll take your iPads away, and then they start hysterically crying, like, but like they'll cry all day and not clean their room. They're just crying about the fucking iPads, and it's like, damn, dude, like
now you know, dude. Say you're gonna throw their iPad away. Now you got a different. Now you have collateral.
I've done that where like I've hid them for like a week and they thought I actually threw them out, and like it just doesn't work, bro. Like
really,
like I don't know, like I don't know what to do. Like,
yeah, and this might be. Oh no, please go.
I like lad out sometimes because like my dad used to like just get pissed and just start yelling and shit.
Yeah,
like that shit doesn't work, and they just start crying more. I'm like, fuck.
Yep.
Like that worked on me when I was a kid.
Yeah, well, first of all, the fact that you're like conscious of all of this is a good thing. So you're going through the growing pains of like transcending the way that you were raised, and I think everyone has to do this. It's like, so yeah, and that kind of ruled my roost as well. Like my parents would just fucking spaz, and it was like holy shit. And for like the rest of the afternoon, you're just like tiptoeing around the house, like fuck.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like like Wes is saying, it's like just because one afternoon of this fails doesn't mean you're not altering them like a couple degrees west. You know what I mean? Like, so you keep at it, stay consistent, and just like let them spaz, let them do this. Or, make a game of it, figure something out where it's like whoever does this gets that. And if you both don't do it, okay, well, we don't get that. I feel like if you keep applying it, because as soon as you take the mentality of like nothing works, it's like.
Yeah, like they went through a phase of like. It's like, all right, if you guys clean your room, I'll give you guys these LOL dolls. And they're like, oh, all right, bet. And like, they would clean it. And like, that was at one time. You know what I mean? And like, then the next time I tried the same thing, they're like, yeah, nah, we're good. Exactly.
And that's because it's like, that's the mechanism of reward rather than instilling like, no, you have to clean your room. Like, you don't get anything. You just have to clean your room.
Right.
Yeah, man. I mean, like I said, I what does your wife think about all this? Did you talk to her about it?
Yeah, I mean, like, we're on the same page, It's like, who do these kids think they are? Like, when we were younger, it's like, all my dad had to do was, like, get up from his seat and, like, oh, shit, he's being serious. Let's clean our room.
Yeah, I mean.
Like, and she was raised, like, like, hardcore Catholic Irish or whatever, so it's like, I never even got to that point, because, like, you knew, like, once your mom, like, got pissed, it was over,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I wonder of, and Francisco, I say this out of love and as like a brother, it's like there's a lot of people who tell me it's like, okay, hey, I want to lose weight. I'm like, okay, how's your diet? They're like, oh, it's good. Every once in a while, I go a little bit, but it's good. Okay, how often do you work out? Oh yeah, I work out. Yeah, I work out a lot. But then when I actually watch them, and usually we're at like lunch or something, and it's like, oh, okay, but you're eating a cheesecake now. Is this just the one time you happen to be fucking up, right? Like, or is it your subconscious is telling you you're doing something? But if I had a video camera or if I was walking around, would I see? Because like you said today, it's like, oh, I'll tell them to stay in, and like they'll cry all day. It's like, would I literally see you punching them for 24 hours straight all day and them crying? Or would I see you punish them for 20 minutes, you got tired of it, and then you said, okay, we'll try it tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? And I say that out of love. Like a lot of times people say they're doing something, but I'm curious about the qualitative part of it. And I don't know. Like, I don't know. I've never been in your house before, obviously, but I would assume, right? Like if I were to pay you $1 million and I said, hey, get these kids to clean this room and I will give you $1 million if they clean their room by 6 p.m. tonight. I have a very funny feeling you'd figure out a way to do it. Because you literally, what do you say?
Like start thinking outside the box of like something I've never done before. Or something
literally, they will die if they don't have you. I'm going to imagine you have some sort of leverage, right? Like you have food as leverage. I'm not saying starve your kids, but I'm saying like feed them like feed them broccoli, like stuff that they just don't like, and that's the only option. Because at some point you get more hungry, right? And I'm the only one who can give you food. Right. This is if the cards were stacked in anyone's favor, it's yours. I've just found that most parents are not willing to go that far, including my girlfriend. Like when we first started dating, she's like, I don't know why he doesn't listen to me. It's like, I can tell you I observed you for 2 hours. I can tell you with 100% accuracy why he doesn't listen to you, because he doesn't have to. Like if I were able to have a conversation with some of these kids and they were able to articulate some of their feelings, they would say, oh, like, yeah, here's why I don't listen to mom. Because like when she counts to 5, guess what? Doesn't really mean 5, right? 5 was supposed to be some sort of climax to something, but guess what? I've tested those boundaries, and every single time it's not 5, right? Like that's what they would tell me. And I've also found this: if I pout long enough, like roughly for 10 minutes, or if I just throw a fucking hissy fit, I eventually get what I want. And eventually for them is like 17 minutes, not all day, right? Like so since I've been really kind of tough on Nicole, it's like no. He sits in the fucking chair. Like here's what sitting in the chair means for an hour. It means ass in seat for 1 hour. If ass is out of seat, not only do we pause the clock, right? We then add more time to it. And he gets that. Like you can, like, trust me, he understands it viscerally. And if he screams, we add more time. And he's tested these boundaries on several occasions. And guess what? He lost. That's why he sat in the chair for 2 hours and 30 minutes. No exceptions,
right?
0 exceptions, to the point where her dad came in. He's like, I think everyone kind of has a limit, and I think he's a kid. Like you're asking him. I said, yeah, like respectfully, sir, it's not happening, right? Like this is not changing. He will sit there.
You want to look at that?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Because it's not about me, right? It's about the child. It's about like what Matt said earlier. You do not want to leave this dirty work for other adults in the future because they won't do it. We've all had to interact with a human, like an adult, who's not really an adult. But you won't tell them that they're not an adult. You'll just fire them, or you won't be friends with them, or you'll somehow otherwise remove yourself from them, and you'll never tell them. And that's the ultimate pain, when nobody wants to hang out with you, but you don't know why. Right? It's because dad didn't reprimand me. He didn't put me in the fucking chair for 2.5 hours when I was a kid, so I never learned that lesson.
Right.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's a very fair point. And yeah, it's like one of those things where I think as long as you work at it a little bit every day, because a lot of times it can get overwhelming where you're like, I'm fucking this up. What am I doing? That's the most terrifying thing about being a parent is like you start going like, I have no fucking idea what I'm doing. And then you get into that. The older they get, the more they can convince you that that's the case. In my opinion, that's how I feel. But I think like Wes is saying, it's like if you can systematize something, stick to it. they'll adapt. They will slowly adapt. And, it's like, as long as you're not doing it, again, like Wes was saying too, like, oh man, like this is just, they can't take anymore. It's like, dude, kids are like incredibly resilient. And as long as you're doing something out of love, I think that'll eventually get through them, as long as you're not like, doing it abusively. Right. So it's like my parents would beat the shit out of me if I was bad. So it's like, I'm not going to do that to my kids, but at the same time, I'm also not going to feel bad about not getting them away and letting them cry. It's like, hey, this could be a lot fucking worse. Like, so don't, like, you think this is bad.
Like, we tell them all the time, like, yo, we went through it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, and it's like, I don't hold any resentment about that. That's the best they could do. It's like, all right, how am I going to take that up a notch? It's like, I'm not going to resort to that, but it's like, the reason people hit their kids is because it is like ineffective for a second. Like it clearly gets your message across. It just doesn't, long term, I don't think it works that well. But it's like, what can I do equivalent that sucks like that, but isn't like experiences like an overload on the person's nervous system?
Yeah, so. And I can also tell you, dude, like, I was talking about the carrot. I'm sorry, about the stick. We've also done a lot of carrot type of stuff as well. Like, I think I told you guys before, I had a conversation with him about the results economy. I said, like, in life, like, here's how you get things. Like, it's all about results. So we gave him a scorecard, and then so he checks off his scorecard. Dude, he was pumped. Like, he initially was like, what the hell is this? And now, like, he knows, right? He knows, like, oh, if I do these things, he checks it off, and then we have him add it up. He's like, oh, I got 7 points today. Like, dude, he's pumped, right? Now that takes care of 95% of the stuff. So that's all, like, positive reinforcement. And he knows it's like, oh, if you want dessert or if you want something like that, like, where's your scorecard? If you want to go out and play with your friends, like, is all this stuff done? Dude, the point where, like, last time he got a scorecard done, he held it up so we could take a picture of it. And he's just pumped. Like, that's fucking awesome. So I'd hate for you to walk away from this conversation and think that it's all stick. No, it's partial stick, but then eventually, I do think it depending on how bad the situation is up front, it might need to be stick to, like, make sure, okay, it's like, hey, there's a before today and there's an after today, where, like, things are going to change. I do think sometimes kids need that. That was the come to Jesus kind of couple sessions that we had. But then after that, it's like, okay, now let's rebuild you from the bottom up. And then I always tell them, it's like, your number one job, like, we're training you to be a man, and then now also to be a leader, right? And then, like, so then he gets a little pumped. He's like, oh, I'm a leader, like, that sort of thing. It's pretty cool.
Nice. And boys really like that. If anything, like, boys hate being little boys. So anything like, yo, dude, you're a man. They're like,
well, it's weird. My son is like the complete opposite of my daughter's. Like, he's the youngest when he's 4. But, like, he'll grab the fucking vacuum, start vacuuming the living room. Like, he'll be like, yo, give me the Windex. I have to, like, give him the Windex. And he'll start spraying the walls and shit and start wiping it down. He's like, I'm not worried about him. Like, it's crazy. He's so, and, like, I don't even care. Like, I encourage him. Yeah, you want to do that? And he starts to do it. It's like, oh, vacuum. It's my turn. And he has, like, vacuum toys that we bought him. And, like, all day he's just fucking vacuuming the house. And then he'll use it for the real one as well. So,
hell yeah. It's cool, man.
Yeah.
I think it'll be fun, man. Dude, if you can find, like, a creative way to, like, like just find that balance, like Wes is saying.
I like that scorecard idea, though.
Yes.
Oh, dude,
start charging them. Start charging them a bill.
There's got to be, like, a reward at the end of it, though, right? Like, you get X amount of points.
Oh yeah,
exactly.
For sure.
Something happens, right?
Yeah. So we do a whiteboard. Imagine, like, a 2 foot by 2 foot whiteboard, and then we have 7 items on there. Right. Actually, so now it's 10. As he's kind of grown up, we add more. And then so, like, so make your bed, right? We have make the bed, clean his room, do a chore for the house, read, do his math flashcards, right? And so on. That's on the left column. And then we've got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, blah, blah, blah. And then you have little check marks there. So then at the end of each day, right, he then adds it up. And then at the end of the week, if he's received a certain score, just like no different than we do on here, right? It's a scorecard. If he's received a certain score, then he will get X. Now we ask him, so we're working on his vision board. So he loves cars. So it's like, okay, if you do good job today, then you get a snack or you get to play with your friends. But then if you accumulate an entire week's worth of perfect scores, then we'll take you to the car show on Saturday.
Nice.
So it's all about results and then him earning what he wants. Yeah, it's incredibly effective. Yeah. And then we make it a big deal, right? Like, oh my gosh, like, and then there are times if, like, there's family in town, like, I'll have them all come over, right, for lunch or something, and then we say, like, hey, everybody sit down, and then we'll tell them, like, hey, come out here, buddy, like, what do you have to tell? And that was the last time you held up a scorecard, right, take a picture, and everybody's clapping, like, adults respond. Like, look at what happens. Like, dude, I starve myself for fucking 16 weeks, go to the gym for an hour and a half a day, blah, 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 right? So that I can be up on stage and somebody give me a trophy and like have a couple hundred people look at me, right? Like it works for like even robots like me. Like this is just psychology 101. You do that for a little kid, man, they're like, holy hell, like this is cool.
For sure, man. I would say too, it's like this is the thing I have to remind myself of constantly. Also too, my house is like the mess of stuff is the thing I'm dealing with currently myself right now. It's an ongoing thing. I'm actually right now, I've been getting rid of just a lot of stuff, like going through appraising each thing I have and being like, what function does this serve? If nothing comes immediate to mind, I donate it or just give it away. But that kind of helps. But and again, still an ongoing battle. So I want to put that out there that like I'm not the most orderly and clean room person in the world. But the thing I have to constantly remind myself, and it's kind of a bitter brew that I sip, is like whenever there's something going on, because it's easy to get to the point where you go, man, these kids are just crazy, or all these kids, all their behaviors are emanating from your behaviors. And like I always remind myself that like this, and I mean, you gotta let your kids be kids. They will be individuals, and they'll get to a point in life where they're just their own person. But as a kid, like I try to really take that on. If like Maya's being really difficult, if she's doing this, she's biting people a lot, I could be like, man, she's just a biter, or be like, I need to get her out of this biting shit. And she fucking bites me all the time, dude. It's not fun. But so it's like, I feel like it's like good to have a lighthearted approach where you're not like, oh fuck, I can't deal with this, but also like not lighthearted enough where you're just like, let them do their thing. It's like, it's a balance for sure. And it's like, you're going to have your line that you're okay with. Wes has his that he's okay with. I have mine that I'm okay with. So it's like finding what feels good for you in that way, but also not letting either of those get too far between. And like, again, that helps me to remind myself, oh, she's doing this. Oh, she's doing that. And I go, this is my problem, rather than being like, fucking these little kids are, 2-year-olds are the worst, la, 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 la. And it's like, all right. Yeah, they're annoying sometimes, but what could you be doing to help?
Yeah, Matt, I completely, I'm so happy you brought that up, dude. Like, actually, all the stuff that I said before, I think that's like 10% of the battle. I think 90% is embodying the message you're trying to send to them, and like having them want to be like you.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I was inside my girlfriend's son's head if he would say this. And I'm not saying this egotistically. I have a feeling like he wants to be like me. Like he sees some of the stuff, he sees some of the rewards, right? Like he see, like, do you know what I mean? Like, so, like, and this sounds really weird, but I think it's like true. Like his friends will come up and like, show me your 6-pack, right? Like we heard you have a 6-pack. Like it's kind of like it's the whole little thing. So like he sees that like there's some sort of hierarchy there, of like something that he wants. So I would point to a lot of parents and be like, look, if you're telling your kid to clean your room, what do they see when they walk by your room? Or when you tell them to eat healthy, what do they see what's on dad's plate? Do you know what I mean? I remember my grandfather told me to stop spitting. Like I went through like a phase where I was spitting because I would watch baseball all the time and the dudes would like spit.
Did you spit through your teeth or just like a?
I couldn't spit through my teeth.
Hell yeah.
So then I remember like he told me, he's like, don't spit. I was like, why? He's like, because then it lands on the ground and like it's like, well, you throw your cigarettes on the ground. And I remember in my head being like, there's no way this guy's going to convince me. And I loved my grandpa. But I was like, there's no way that this guy is going to convince me to do that. Because even at a young age, I was like, my spit dissolves, right? His cigarettes stay on the ground. There's zero chance, right? I listen to this guy in that domain. And it's like, how many other areas of our lives are we telling those who are following us to do something, but we're not doing it? Because there's no chance they're going to follow it. And if they follow it now, they're definitely not going to follow it when they're teachers or when they're teenagers. No way.
Yeah, that is the bitter brew, man. And it's like, again, it's like, always, I try to always like not myself up.
Sorry, I just saw that comment from Zach.
I was waiting for you. I was waiting for you to see that. So how does this, Francisco, what are your thoughts on this? Because again, you're fully boots on the ground. You have 3 kids running around the full, and I understand the position of like, sometimes people talk and you're like, okay, I'm living in this reality. I hear what you're saying.
Yep.
Like, what are your honest thoughts? Because I don't want to like push things on you or like, because again, you're immersed in this.
Yeah. So like my thing is like right now, just like if they don't clean their room or whatever, like I just leave it like that. It's like, you want to live in that mess. Like I'm not cleaning it every week, What's
sure.
up? I'm in here. Yes. Sorry. Yeah, so I just like I let it go for like a month or two or whatever, and then like I end up doing it. And yeah, I have my limits, like they'll, like yell at them or whatever, but it doesn't always work. And what do you want? What? Yeah, so yeah, like I like the scorecard idea, and I think I can work with that. And I'll probably try that, but like I've tried literally like everything in the book. Like,
dude, honestly, you could think of something maybe perhaps being like, hey man, the scorecard and the scorecard's linked to the iPad, and that iPad is gone. That's totally not essential, man. If they don't, I know it's very convenient, but it's like, you guys want to do this for 2 months? This thing is gone. It's a memory. Oh, you clean your room? Here's this thing. That thing's such a powerful motivator.
Oh yeah,
I can do that, and like I can do with that, and like fucking sweet treats or something, like, you know.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
Yep, that's.
And dude, I say all this, like what you're dealing with, I've never had to deal with. So all the stuff I'm saying is hypothesis plus a little sliver of my experience. So my heart goes out to you, bro. Like I have no idea what it's like to be raising 3 children who like are not listening, right? So like, this is just my best guess.
I babysat.
And half the time I'm like tired and shit. I'm like, I don't really want to deal with it. Yeah. I'm like, all right, do whatever you want. I'm gonna pass out on the couch for like 5 minutes.
Well, you're also night shift. You have a mountain of shit. You're dealing with. I babysat my neighbor's kids. He had 3 kids, and I had my own kid there at the same time. I thought my head was going to explode, dude. And I grew up in a house of 6 kids, so I was like, oh, I'll be fine. I was like he was telling me, he's like, yeah, the oldest one, I don't even look at her. Like, I don't even pay it. I have to worry about this other dude. It felt like it was a flashbang. I was sitting there and I was just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So it's like, dude, my heart goes out. And again, like Wes is saying, I don't want to be like, oh yeah, just do this and that. Like, totally understand that it's like, you know, sometimes though it does help to get this a little bit like, well, think about this and blah, blah, blah. So, you know, there's validity to both sides of that. But yeah, man, again, the main thing is not losing faith or just being like, this is just the way it is. That's the one thing I'll die on that hill being like, nope.
Yep.
Can't do that.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm definitely like not like this is the way it's going to be. It's like, and that's why I asked the question. You know, it's like we need to like brainstorm over here. So,
yep.
You know, to try to change that.
Yep. That's a structured sit down. You should ceremoniously put the iPads away and be like, these are gone until that you know, if that room if your room's clean, you get them, and as soon as that room's dirty, iPads are gone. And you know obviously you know your kids better than anyone, so you can always go from there.
Yeah, like, he's hopping on my game plan. Get out of here.
Yeah, they're doing that.
Yeah, they're figuring out counterattacks right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's gonna go tell the other one like, "Oh, this is what he's up to."
Oh yeah.
Let's weather the storm.
It also helps even letting them logic out, like, well, why don't you want to clean your room, and letting them run out their own logic, like, I don't want to, and it's like, okay.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we use logic a lot actually with Nicole's son. Like, it's like, okay, if you do this, then what happens? Then what happens? And we kind of quickly get to like, you know, you would die, right? Like literally, like, you know, it's like if you do this, then you would die, right? And it's actually pretty amazing his ability, and I imagine like it's not special, like, you know, it's probably a lot of children can really handle like just 5 sequences of things, 5 things, like you give it enough, they're like, oh, consequences could be really bad.
Right.
Yeah, man. Well, dude.
Cool.
Fantastic.
Well, brother, thanks for the challenge, man. Just talking through it is challenging. I know. Good luck going through it.
Dude, it helps me. I'm constantly the same thing in my head. Maya will start biting people. She'll start smacking people in the face. And it's like, I can be like, oh man, I don't know it's like, this is my problem. I have to deal with this. You know, and I constantly remind myself. I had to do this at the dog park, dude. My dogs were bad at the dog park. This is a prime example. I mean, they're dogs, but it was like, I'd get pissed at Jackson and grab him, like, why won't you fucking, and it was like, then one day I just brought treats, and then I started treating him, and when he would come to me, and it was like, I'd never had that problem ever again. All that stress just went away, because I owned the issue.
Do you like the dog people
dude
spaz out if you bring treats? Like the serious dog people like spaz out on you.
They freak.
Like, you're not, no treats allowed in the park, and they're like, oh shit. And they yell at you and stuff.
I learned that issue. But yeah, man. Well, dude.
Thank you, brother.
Let's do it, man.
All right, guys.
Let's get to it. Have a good weekend. Oh, dude. Dude of the week is going to be, it's going to be a barn burner. It is going to be a barn burner.
Who we put up there?
I mean, obviously. All right, brother.
See you guys later.
Later, beast. They are conspiring against it right now.
Dude, they're so cute too, man. Especially when you have daughters, it's so hard to discipline them.
So I'm not having a daughter. There's no way.
Fucking adorable, dude. So I got Francisco. I got Reichel. Who else we got? Who else wants to toss their hat in the ring? Reichel just got a job. He's got accepted, so he's going in for his first day. I saw that up in there.
Oh, hell yeah, man. Cool.
Yeah, man.
What's the job?
I think he's working at I think it's a dispensary, if I'm not mistaken.
Cool. Good luck, Reichel.
I think. Yeah, man. And I guess that's it, dude. No one's tossing their hat in the ring, so I'm gonna toss Gunther there as he's been getting his workout on.
He always is getting his workout on, dude.
Yeah, that's something I need to pick the slack back out of. All right, so we got Francisco, Reichel, Gunther, dude. 3 people. Let's see what's going on. Oh, man. Oh, I didn't create the poll. Oh, no, I did. All right, good. All right.
Dude, I don't know how Fran does it, man. To be completely honest, like,
bro,
night work plus 3 children.
Dude. And that's a real thing, too. You get so tired, you literally just go, fuck it. And it's like, yeah. It happens if I have to do shows in New York and I come home that next day, like you're just in robot mode where you're just like, I just don't have the strength, bro.
Yeah, the fact that he's able to like consciously talk about, like, if I were to bring it up to this group, like I would already be like, you'd see like a gun scratching on my head and like I just don't know what to do anymore, you know.
Or if anyone said anything to me, I'd be like, shut the fuck up.
Oh, exactly. Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. So the fact that he's willing to have like a brainstorming session on is fucking awesome.
That's what's up, man. Francisco, dude of the week, obviously he won.
Francisco, congratulations, brother. Hopefully that's some prize for you raising 3 humans. Which, oh fuck.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
And like I said, that's a big thing too. It's like how can I transcend the, you know, what I can take the good of my childhood and how can I like go beyond the bad of my childhood and you know transcend how I was raised and just do it better. Yep. And I watched a video, just not to get like too sidetracked because I think we got to go. It's like 12 o'clock.
Yep.
But there was a video about like some parents will unconsciously try to make sure their kids don't have a better childhood. Like they'll raise their kids well and then just get jealous of how good their kids' life is because of them. And it's like, you know, that's something else to think about. But, dude. Yeah.
All right, brother.
Let's do it, man. Have
Game
a good
time.
Weekend. Also, how was it for the week? Did everyone I always forget to do this. Did anyone did people do the things they said they were going to do? My week, I fucked up on my sleep and I did not get done what I wanted to do this week by any stretch of the imagination. So,
yeah, I'm still slacking on Rhomas U. That's my fail. And the investment company this week has been outstanding, and we've had more meetings. I think it's a record this week, so hopefully we'll break another record next week. So we're on our way, man.
All right, and here's Mike Gibbons, dude. Started his Udemy Ascension. Fantastic, dude.
Oh, cool. Yeah, Mike. I'm sorry. I just saw. I sent you the money on Venmo, but I just sent it to you today because I didn't see it a couple days ago. Sorry, brother. I've been busy. So please apply that towards your Udemy courses, brother.
Yeah, we'll definitely check in with Gibbons next week. That'd be nice.
Cool. Hell yeah.
All right, man.
All right, dudes.
Later on.
Later.